Look at us.
Get your fish on, and Mr. Bass.
We're back, baby.
Back from the dead. Back from the dead. At least temporarily, anyway. So that's good.
Yeah. I mean, there was something we needed to say right off the bat. Did you see it from Booster?
No.
Hold on. Let me get my Instagram up.
Before we do that, what up, Grandpa Woody? Before we do that, though, we have got a couple of other important pieces of business to latch onto. The first is, what is that crazy lid you're wearing on your head, man? Get your fish on, man. That is cool. That is sweet, dude. That's a nice looking hat.
Where's the other one? There's two. There's one that has, so I got a bunch of them. Like, at first they were going to look like this, but you can't read it.
Oh, yeah, you can't read that at all.
And then he made them like this, and I'm like, what the heck? And then he made them this big, and I'm like,
nice. Well, it's still not bad.
It's not bad. No, this is going to go on something. Like, I was going to put it right here.
Oh, cool.
But that didn't work out. There's not enough time for that.
Very cool. Let folks connect is what he's saying, right? Booster?
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yes.
Yeah.
I got to get into it, though.
Don't know if I know how to do that. All right. That hat is really cool. So, of course, the next question is, when do we all get your fish on hats?
So I think
I got to get my hands on one of those, man.
Oh yeah, you'll get this one and the other one for sure. There's like three people that are, the first 5 hats are already gone.
Yeah, those are awesome. I
think I ordered 36 or so, something like that. So I think they'll be done tomorrow, because there was so much like going back and forth on what I was looking for, and then like, of all things, a guy at swimming did this
for a living.
So like, oh my gosh. So then I was like, well, let me buy the hats and then we'll go from there. And it kind of all worked out.
That is awesome.
I am not broadcasting on my channel right now. I will be in 2 weeks, which is something we have to tell everybody.
Yeah, we do need to tell everybody that our plan now is to do a show every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks. We're just both super busy, and Steve is an actual real dad. My kids are all grown, so he's busy and I'm busy, and that's just kind of the way it goes. So,
and honestly, sometimes it's just hard to. There isn't a lot to really sometimes talk about. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I find myself. I mean, I know some guys they don't care if you're not talking about anything, but
yeah,
even some of my great friend YouTubers that live stream constantly like I used to, I can't watch them, man. I mean, I watch them for a few minutes, but the content, it's hard to keep the content fresh,
it's very hard to keep the content fresh.
So, if we spread it out twice a month, maybe we won't be too boring, and maybe everybody will give us a pass on that.
Yeah.
All right, here's something else super important that we've got to talk about before we get into anything else. Seriously, I wish I had sound effects, but I don't. But check this out.
That's right.
10,000 subscribers! Woo-hoo!
Who would have ever thought, dude, in all honesty?
How about that? Get Your Fish On has broke the 10,000 mark. I mean, he's a real YouTuber now, so congratulations.
Don't ever say that.
That's awesome. I'm super happy for you, man.
I saw you broke 7,000. I texted you right when it happened.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is even better, man.
It's better than 6. So
yeah,
but
it's tough to get them.
It is.
Let's be honest.
So I am very happy for you.
Yes, thank you.
And your channel's, getting better and better. You're tweaking it and you're massaging it and you're learning. You're learning all the background, behind the scenes stuff. People have no idea how much work it takes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think most people. I don't really, there's a lot of people that do know that I actually edit for two other channels, but they're not anything to do with fishing. Nothing. One is a relationship, channel that has like 200.
You're not creating content. As long as you're not creating content.
I am. That has like 200,000 subscribers, and he puts out a video a day, and
holy cow!
And his name's Craig, and Craig is started another channel for his daughter to do, like, of all things, like unboxing of kids stuff, and we've had a really hard time with the other channel. So we've luckily for me, we've been able to talk to some really exceptional YouTube people that have worked with, like, Mr. Beast.
Yeah, holy crap, Mr. Beast.
And then
Mr. Beast is how I got my YouTube name.
And really, it's brilliant that you did, because you put Mr. B or MRB, and Mr. Bass comes up in that list.
It does, huh?
It's
well, I wish you'd get me some subscribers.
Yeah. So we've been able to, like, I've had some, I guess you could call it, coaching from Paddington and Patty, and really some of the stuff that he says is just, it's mind-boggling. And quite honestly, none of the stuff he's taught us has worked on the other channel, but it's worked for me.
That's wild, isn't it?
So it's a big learning curve, man. I mean, it's a big learning curve.
Yeah. I mean, I had no idea before I ever got into this game. I thought, well, heck, I see these guys doing fishing videos. I can do fishing videos just as good as they can. How hard is it? And it's hard, let me tell you.
Yeah. In like, I don't mean any disrespect to the Guggen kids or the Guggen guys, but I mean, they do the same video once a month about buying the most expensive rod and reel from Bass Pro or Dick's or Walmart. It's a series that they have going on, and to me, that just doesn't do it. But I understand, I see them get 200,000 or 300,000 views on it.
Yeah.
And I'm impressed by it, but at the same time, it's like,
well, when you've got an unlimited budget and you don't have any other commitments in life except that, it's I mean, I'm sure they've got business commitments related to it, of course, but just like you and I, we're working full-time jobs in the real world.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's
a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. And like, even like today, like, I went out this morning to do drone footage of a bunch of, like, the Teckle Clinker. Is that what it's called?
I don't know. I know the Teckle Frog. I don't know what they call that, but
Q Linker. So I had a bunch of them, like
what's different? Does it make noise or something?
This one actually has like a weird, like, almost like a chatterbait kind of tail. It has two blades on the end. Can you see those?
Oh yeah.
So as it skips,
frog fur.
Yeah, it actually darts like this.
Does it?
The blades are bouncing back and forth. I didn't catch anything, but like I said, I went this morning, and yesterday I got the car stuck.
Stuck where?
At the frog pond. So now I'm like unbelievably worried that I'm going to get stuck down there, and I won't be able to get the car out. So, like, this morning I went down there, and I'm like, nope, I'm not even doing it. So I turned back around, and then at like 12 o'clock, I was like, okay, maybe. I mean, we got some serious rain the last couple of days, so I was like, maybe if I don't drive too close to the pond, I should be all right. So it's not only putting the drone up, making sure you don't step on the drone, the controller.
Yeah.
Casting and making sure you don't hit there's so many little baby things that if I had somebody else doing the drone, it probably would be fine. But I'm doing the drone, making sure it doesn't have battery, changing baits, and I'm trying to do this like as fast as possible so I can get that footage.
Yeah.
And
Oh well.
it's a nightmare. That's the best way to put it. It's a nightmare.
It seems like a lot of companies now, I say a lot, I've only seen a few, are starting to put this chatterbait blade on everything.
Yes.
On the back of lures, on the front of lures, on topwater lures. I mean, it's just like, holy crap, man. Before you know it, every bait in your tackle box is going to have a chatterbait blade on it.
And really, if you use something that's chatterbait-ish and you are not, paying Z-Man, they're going to come after you with everything.
Yes, they are, aren't they?
I mean, I don't have any problem saying this because this isn't one. This wasn't told to me from anybody from Z-Man, but the Thunder Cricket's a great bait, amazing bait. Strike King actually pays Z-Man more than they make per bait.
That's insane.
To have that as a chatterbait.
That is crazy. So the old Z-Man's out there saying, "Everybody, go out and buy the Strike King chatterbait. Go buy that bad boy. That because they're making money on both."
Yeah,
I don't know how many other. I know that they're kind of in legal. They're in legal battles with companies all the time over that chatterbait blade, aren't they?
Oh gosh, they don't. I mean, they go after you, and rightfully so. They own the patent. They own all this stuff, intellectual property, all this stuff. They paid a lot of money to have, and if someone does something or makes it something similar, they're going after you. They really are going after you.
Yeah, no holds barred. They're not joking around, are they?
Yeah, no. The Z-Man guys don't joke around at all.
Okay, so this is new. I got to take my little graphic thing down so we can see it. But what do you think about the old slobber knocker? Then is this a gimmick? Is this I mean, I saw it at ICAST. I have not run out and bought it. I don't need another chatterbait, and to me, it just looked like so much hype. I don't know, but what do you think? And how does this compare to Z-Man's proprietary blade attached to the head?
Oh, they're going after him.
They are, huh?
If they're doing something already, they're going after him.
They are. Okay.
I mean, and there is a lot of difference in that than what the blade, the Z-Man one, but it's a chatterbait. It makes a different noise. It's one you probably should try. I mean, I don't think they're available till like 3 or 4 or 5 more days. September 1st, I think they said they were going to have them out for everybody. So it's one to try. Maybe that's the best way to put it.
Yeah, well, I usually do end up trying, especially new, unique stuff. But
in that case, I really wish I wish they would have made that bait like $8 or $9.
Yeah, let's see. What are they charging for that?
14.
Yeah, $13.99.
Yeah, I think that's
as you can get.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, if you're going to spend $14, pay another $1 and get the Z-Man and get the jackhammer.
Yeah. I mean, it is kind of one of those look, if it ain't broke, don't fix it sort of deal. Yeah. I kind of agree with you in some ways.
It's one of those weird. I think there are times when having a different sounding chatterbait is important. Like, I really honestly think that all the places I go fish, all the bass know my jackhammer as soon as it hits the water, and they know they're going to get hurt if they bite it. So I think there are times when you need to have a jackhammer on, and if the jackhammer is not working, going to like the Thunder Cricket or something else does trigger strikes. But right now for me, we're in like the middle of, even though it's like the end of August, it's blazing hot now.
Yeah.
And all the algae bloom is just in full force right now. So you can't go to some place and not have like a treble hook on anything because you get full of crap or slime or whatever on your bait, and that just pisses me off. I hate fishing when that happens.
I know it is so frustrating.
Yeah.
Uh, I went out and bought me a handful of the minis. The mini chatterbaits. They're tiny now. They're like that big.
Did
And
you buy the flashback?
yeah, I did.
That one's good.
It is good. I took it up to the Mississippi River, which is just loaded with grass. And the reason I did is because the grass is so thick, you've got to be able to really work it over the top of grass really quickly. And that lighter head and that little small compact profile really, really did well. It's a great little bait, really.
You can take off the thing on the bottom, you know that. Yeah, I appreciate it. We don't need to see it.
Everybody loves seeing it. What are you talking about?
Can I tell a fun story about that?
Yeah, let's hear it.
So I've done like these video top 3 baits of the month. Have been unbelievably successful for me.
Yeah.
I had like 2 or 3 months where they were great, and then I had last month which just was horrible, and I was like, I didn't do anything different. But the way YouTube does stuff, it's just what it is. And then this one came out, and so like maybe it was like Thursday or Friday, I put up a video saying, hey, it's going to happen fairly soon. I'm getting, for me, getting 60, 70, 80 subscribers in a day is a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
It really is a lot. So Thomas is on like subscriber watch, and so is Sonia. They're like, every time we're getting close, or Thomas, I went to go get bagels Sunday morning, and while I was sitting at Bagels, it jumped like 50.
Really?
And then I came home, and we were like, okay, we thought it'd be like Monday or Tuesday, give or take. So then we're like on subscriber watch, like the whole afternoon. It goes up 993, and we're going 7 more. It drops down 4, and we're like, who the hell unsubscribed those bastards? We're having fun with it. So it gets to like, I might have jumped a little bit there. It gets to like 990, and we're like, and I start making dinner, and then it gets to 9. Now Thomas has my wife's laptop open, and it has like this, you can go behind the scenes, and he's figured out how to do. Actually, you can see it scrolling as it's up and down the subscriber count. And I'm like, how does my son know how to do this, first off? and he's doing all this.
I don't even know how to do that.
I didn't either. I'm like, I don't get this. Where did this come from? So I make dinner, and then as we're finishing dinner, Thomas is like, Daddy, you're 2 away. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe we jumped like 100 in one day. I'm like, I can't believe it. This is amazing for me.
Yeah, heck yeah.
So I sit down on the couch, and it turns to 9,999. So then I'm like, oh my gosh, this. Here it is. It's going to happen. So then Thomas gets up, and he runs into the other room, and then he runs back, and he's jumping up and down. Now I got the computer in front of me, and it doesn't say 10,000. He's yelling, and he's, Daddy, you did it. And he's all happy for me. And I'm like, and then just as he said it, it rolled up and said 10,000. And I was like, and then he gave me this big hug, and my wife, we're all kind of being happy. And then the best thing that happened was Thomas said to me, I wanted to be your 10,000 subscriber. So I was number 10,000.
That is awesome.
And then I broke down and I cried, and I'm like, what a good kid this is, man. I mean, what the hell? How do I get stuck with this kid? I'm getting emotional thinking of it now, but it was perfect. So it was wonderful.
Fantastic, man. That is a great story. And it's cool, man. It's a big deal. So
you're next.
Yeah. Right on.
You're the only one I share most of the secrets with.
I know. I just need to start implementing them.
Yeah. I mean, it's like I said the other day, some of this stuff I helped fishing the Southeast with something the other day, and then I helped Bass Boxing Outdoors. I'm like, how do you not have any tags in your video? your search engine ranking is a 0. But I mean, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So, and let me just say, loved the video of your grandson driving the boat.
Yeah. Yeah, that was fun, wasn't it?
That was awesome.
He's like that. I have had him on the boat a lot, but not in the water because it's in the garage. So he's always on the boat, climbing on the boat, you know. And finally, I said, "All right, I'm going to take you out in it." And he's like, "I do not want to go fast. I do not want to go fast. I do not want to go fast. I do not want to go fast." And after 5 minutes of going fairly fast, he was like, "Faster, faster, faster!" You know? And he's like, "I want to drive. I want to drive."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Okay." And man, that kid would kill me if I let him loose on that thing. He just wants to jerk that steering wheel so hard, you know. And so I'm just kind of counter gripping it while he rides. But he's definitely he's sold on the bass boat for sure.
That's awesome. When Thomas was younger, I'd take him with me to go saltwater fishing in my little dinghy. And it really wasn't. It was a 16-foot flats boat. You know, ran in 3.5 inches of water. I mean, but I would go by bait. It would be the only time I go by bait, and then he would be in the back, just like trying to. I mean, literally, you would think he was trying to corral the shrimp or teach the shrimp how to act in the live well. And it was a lot of fun. It was one of the fun things I remember quite a bit. You know, it's
cool.
Actually, and it isn't one of I want to talk about the Opens. I want to talk about MPFL. I want to talk Jeff Sprague. There's a bunch of stuff I want to talk about. But the other day, where was I? Oh my gosh! Sonia wanted to go to her girlfriend's house, so I said, I have no problem going over to your girlfriend's house, but I'm bringing a fishing pole. Yeah, I don't want to sit in the house with you two. I love your girlfriend, but I don't want, she's got plenty of lakes around there. I drive over to this place in Heathrow, and as I get over to it, there's two kids, and they get out of this truck that's like 22 feet high. I mean, it's the biggest truck I've ever seen in my life. It looks like a monster truck to me.
Huh. And
I say to them jokingly, "Hey, let's have a fishing contest," because they're going fishing the same place I'm going fishing. And the kid laughs and says, "You want to fish against the two of us?" And I said, "Of course." "Yeah, of course." So he said it wouldn't be fair. And I agreed with him. I said I was going to beat him anyway. So, yeah. So I kind of went one way, and they went onto the dock. So then I get back, and I come back, and they're like, "How many fish did you catch?" And I'm like, "Oh, I think I got a few." And I'm like, "How many have you guys caught?" And they're like, "We haven't caught any." And I'm like, how is that possible? So then they're showing me that they are fishing like bluegill that are like this big. They're catching the bluegill with worms and then using the live bluegill to try to catch bass. So I say to them, I don't fish like that because I consider that cheating. Now, and I want your answer here after I say the end of the thing. And literally, I was just busting chops.
Yeah, right.
The kid says to me, "Isn't using a rubber worm cheating?"
He doesn't know much about fishing then. I mean, let's face it, any artificial lure, you're at a disadvantage when you're throwing an artificial lure compared to any live bait.
Yes.
I mean, that's why tournaments, you can't fish with live bait.
Exactly.
I mean, yeah, he doesn't know. They don't know what they're talking about, do
they? So this bothered me so much because I'm like, do you really think using a fake worm is cheating? And he said, well, don't you? And I said, I think using a worm is harder to get a bite than the night crawlers that you got in 700 of in front of us.
Exactly. Why catch bluegill with them? Just use the night crawlers to catch bass.
And that's what I said. I said, why don't you guys just put the night crawlers on and target the bass instead of targeting, like, using little hooks that are this big? And this kid just he wanted to argue with me, and I was like, okay, dude, just don't take it personal. I'm just busting chops. I mean, I'm sorry, you guys. And I joked. I said, I'm joking, right? And he's like, yeah, I know. I said, I'm sorry, I'm just a better angler than the two of you. And I walked away. It was like, mic drop.
That's great. The I was just looking at some of the comments here.
I think I had one of those toad swappers. I do. I just got it. Nice frog.
Nice frog. I have not done a lot of frog fishing this year, and the times I have been frog fishing, I have not gotten many bites. It's kind of weird.
It's not very collapsible.
As Booster says, live bait is cheating.
Exactly. Live bait is cheating. That's what I say. It's hard to catch a bass on a damn fake something.
Yeah, it is. I mean, they're pretty intuitive. They can detect fake pretty well.
Yeah. They can tell, how the movement. I mean, just go out there and try to, thank you, Heather. Just go out there. Oh, that's your wife. Yeah. Just go out there and look at guys who go trout fishing. I mean, you throw a little fly that's this big and you don't have the slack right, or you do your mend wrong or whatever it is, it'll go right over that trout's face. It will not bite it because
that's right.
Different, and bass are the same way. Yeah, these two kids, and one of them was jacked. I mean, he looked like he was on steroids for about 4 years. I mean, this guy was huge. He had muscles on top of muscles.
Hey, you triggered a thought of mine. Have you ever watched the show Alone?
Yeah, I have watched. I don't want to. I don't know if you're bringing this up because I've told you about Coach Jill.
No.
Okay. Then never mind. I don't want to go into that. Then I love that show.
I love that show too. I've watched it since the first episode came out, first year, and I kept trying to get my friends. You got to go watch this show, and none of them had heard of it. But finally, it's caught on. People are watching it now. But my mind is blown at how many people go out there. These are supposed to be experts, and how they cannot catch a freaking fish to save their life.
If you can fish, you win that game or win that.
Yeah. I mean, other than the dude in this last season, spoiler alert, if you haven't watched it, you know what, close your. The dude who killed the deer, he's the one that won. All right. If you got an entire buck, that you can eat on through the whole season, you got a good shot. But it just blows my mind how these guys cannot catch a fish. And the other thing that surprises me is that statistically speaking, the gill net catches more fish than any other fishing on that show.
Yes.
Which is really quite interesting in and of itself. Because I'm not I don't fish with the gill net. But you think about these guys out there. There's 9 seasons now. They watched every single one, and I'm just scratching my head like, you guys all know this stuff. You know the show. You know how much people struggle fishing. Why don't you give yourself a strategy so that by the time you get out there, you're actually going to give yourself a chance to catch fish? But they don't. I mean, so many of them don't even have a way to cast their hook and get it into the water.
They're doing this, and it goes behind them. You're like,
it goes flying behind them. It's a mind blowing in some ways. The other thing is you'll see them like they'll go and fish in one spot, and they'll fish that same spot over and over and over, and never get a bite. And I'm like, walk to the other side of the cove. What? Why aren't you ever going to the other side?
The other thing is on that show. Oh God, we could talk about this for an hour. Yeah. You want to know what the other thing is they get there, and when they have the most energy, they're too busy walking around looking at things. When you first get there, build your stuff right away. Because in a week from now, when you're starving and deprived and dehydrated, you're going to work for like 5 minutes.
You don't have the energy to do anything.
No.
Yeah.
One guy's making like a pipe so he can smoke, and I'm like, you haven't built a shelter to live in.
Oh man, I'll tell you what, there are a handful of those people that can make anything. It's freaking amazing. Amazing what some of those dudes can make.
Yes, I agree.
Just Alone, Guggen Slayer. We're talking about the show Alone. And I guess if you've never seen it, what they do is they take 10 contestants, they put them out in the wild.
Like harsh wild.
Harsh Wild. They drop them off, and they're only allowed to take 10 items, survival items, and they just gotta survive, and they've gotta whoever stays out there the longest wins. And the crazy thing about it is there's really two things that get them off the show, other than stupidity, like when you drop your ferro rod in the fire and burn it up, and then you can no longer create fire. But the two main things, hunger and loneliness.
Loneliness.
And the psychology, that's what fascinates me about that show, is how much the head games start playing with these people, and they're so lonely and so, just they can't take it.
Do you remember the one girl got so lonely she started talking in a British accent?
Oh yeah, yeah.
And you're like, what?
Yeah,
how is that possible?
There's some very interesting people out there for sure.
Yeah, that show is like, even though it's a little bit too long, like I think you could condense it down and make it like into like 4 or 5 hours instead of like 14.
Yeah, they're dragging it out.
They're
just dragging it out.
Yeah, there's that, and you're right. The mind, it's weird how the mind plays tricks on them, and they hear things, and they're seeing things, and they're starving. Most of them are starving.
One of the funniest, and we're getting off on a tangent here, but one of the funniest, I think, is the very first season. It's either the first or the second season. And there's this dude. They show him talking to his friends before he goes out, and he has like a little party at his house. And he's sitting around talking to all these guys, and he's talking about, somebody says, "Man, there's bears out there. Aren't you afraid of bears?" "I'm not afraid of a bear. I'll whoop a bear's ass." He's talking about bears are nothing, Yeah. He gets out there the first night, he taps out because of the bear. There's a bear. There's a bear. I hear a bear. Oh my gosh, there's a bear. Taps out. He did not even make it one night. It's freaking hilarious.
You don't mess with bears.
No, you do not mess with bears.
You don't mess with bears. They're bigger, faster, and they're trying to eat you.
Yeah, they are. Your food.
They put these people on an island where it's like a month away from like being 25 feet of snow practically.
Yeah.
And you have a set time to get your shelter, get your food, and like I think there might have been last time. There was like a mountain lion staring that dude down.
Yeah, that was freaky. The other ones I admire are these dudes who actually build a boat and then they go out and fish with that boat. That's smart. That's smart.
Yes.
That's always. I'm amazed that a guy can make a boat out of the freaking log.
Oh yeah, there was a guy that killed a moose too. That guy did. I think that guy won too.
Yeah. I don't remember.
Some of the people that get off, that have to tap out. Some of the things are just like, really. The dog just got. Is the dog okay? Okay.
All that means is my dog's hungry.
Yeah. Oh no, someone stepped on the dog. The dog yiped. So yeah, it's unbelievable. So it's a great thing. I just got an email from Live Target.
Oh, what are they giving away?
Nothing. I'm deleting it. Since we haven't talked, well, you and I have talked. We've talked a lot since not doing this together.
Yeah.
But there's been a lot of things that have happened in tournament fishing in the last couple months, like ridiculous things.
Yeah.
I mean, first off, Jacob Wheeler's proven he's still the greatest angler on the face of the earth.
He's amazing, isn't he? He is amazing. No question about it. I think he's proven that he's at the top of the heap.
Yeah, he's so far ahead of everybody. It's not funny. And his buddy Dustin Connell has been on fire lately. He's done really well, but
he's won 2 tournaments this year.
Yeah, Jacob really has I don't think he's finished out of the top 10 all year. I think that I saw that in something.
That's incredible. The other thing I want to say about Dustin Connell, the dude is absolutely a genius because he hangs out with Jacob Wheeler. And for your career, you cannot do anything smarter than that. Not to take away anything from his own abilities, but dude, associate with winners, man, and you're going to win. That's smart strategy. Smart.
I agree. I'm going to share something that was told to me many, 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 many years ago when everybody was in Bass Elites. There was a thing that that Edwin Evers was hanging around. It was like sharing a room and being not partner, but they were being partners on the road with Jason Christie because he wanted to learn from Jason Christie.
Really?
Very
interesting.
Because Jason, at one point in time, years ago,
heck of a stick.
Yeah, Jason was like #1 angler in the world for I don't even know how many consecutive months. He did everything right. He was always consistent on FLW, and Bass and stuff like that. But there was something going around that people were talking about how that's why Edwin made it to that next step up, was that he was learning from one of the best anglers. Jason Christie is one of the best anglers. So it was something that was talked about in the little group for a long time. So
what do you think about Fish in the Southeast comment about, he says, I'm really a fan of the 9 opens rule. They got to fish. If you want to qualify for the elites, you got to fish every single open. You think that's a good idea? It'd piss me off if I were a guy trying to qualify. That's for sure. I mean,
I agree with you. I think it pissed me off too. I think I think there's only a group of people that'll be able to afford 9, to fish all 9, and really then you've made it. That is a full-time job then. And if you're not one of those top, whatever it is, I think it's like top 10. The top 10 people automatically get a bid to the elites. If you're not one of those top 10, then you've wasted a lot of money to try to get to that next level. The thing that bothers me more about the opens is that in the elites, they had a vote and only like the bottom 10 are leaving or something like that. And I think there's a group of like 25 anglers in elites. I also think in Major League Fishing that I don't think should be professional anglers. I don't think they just aren't adding to what's going on out there.
Yeah, in fact, I agree with you. I think those we all know who those people are for the most part. Those guys ought to be opens anglers. They probably should not be on the elites. They just shouldn't be. And
I think I understand why the elites guys voted on it and made it so that there isn't so many, and they did that so that they can stay on the elites for a longer time. That's my opinion.
Yeah. So does this mean? Do you think this means that the anglers are they're giving them more of a voice over there at the elites? Because I don't recall them giving them that much power to make their own decisions in the past. I mean, I know they've always listened to them, but a lot of times it's like, yeah, we heard you, and now we're going to do our own thing.
Yeah, I think they have to listen to them. Now that there's Major League Fishing and other places for them to go, I think, in my opinion, the elites have to do something so that these anglers stay. And the elites are still the best out there. I mean, I don't think it's the best anglers, in my opinion. I still think Major League Fishing Pro Circuit has the best named anglers. But I think the elites have to continuously do something to keep these guys somewhat happy. But like, no offense to Iaconelli, even though he has another year, he's had a terrible year. No offense to Rick Clunn, but Rick Clunn, he really isn't doing anything to make an impact. And I think at some point in time, as great as Rick Clunn has been, I think you have to some point go, okay, this is enough. Let's bring in someone new, someone fresh, who has an opportunity to push these guys a little bit further, or possibly win, like an Austin Felix or Jacob Fouts or someone like that. And it's just I think you have to have some new some new blood into the tournament people. That's all.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I think you've got to. And the ones that continue to just not perform, there's other guys that are just dying to get in
Yeah.
that probably could compete. You're leaving. It just doesn't seem totally fair.
I watched. I don't ever watch Randy Blackett. How do you say his last name?
Who?
Randy Blackett.
Oh, Blockett. Yeah, Randy Blockett.
And
Yeah.
I apologize for. I don't really watch his channel. The other day, someone emailed me and said, or texted me saying I needed to watch his take on the Lake this last tournament in Texas. About how all these people were so upset because everybody was staring down, looking at their forward-facing sonar, and that it just unbelievably boring to watch.
Yeah, that's what Booster's talking about, I think. And
Yeah.
Randy, he has no holds barred. He hates forward-facing sonar. He's totally against it, and he's made multiple videos about how much he's against it. And there's not many pros that are. I mean, I think there probably are guys that are against it, but not many of them that are saying it. Not the way Randy is. Randy's, an interesting thing, though, we may have talked about this before, is the Professional Muskie Tournament Trail banned forward-facing sonar for their last two tournaments in 2022. Yeah. So, I mean, and obviously they're not as big as the Professional Bass Tour, but they are a major fishing tournament trail that has banned it. Now, what they've said is this may not be a permanent ban. We're going to reconsider it for 2023. But the fact that any tournament trail is saying no forward-facing sonar is interesting.
The problem, though, is they'll never be able to get rid of it because of the financial stuff that those people put into bass.
That's right.
It is all about money.
That's right.
And
they sponsor all the circuits. They sponsor a ton of the anglers. I mean, there's so much of their money in that, and I can't see them taking it out ever.
And no offense to the people that don't like it are usually the guys that don't know how to use it well enough.
They're usually, you want to get even more offensive, they're usually old guys.
Exactly.
Like me. You get over 50 years old, man, those dudes are just like, back in the old days, a real angler had to use his intuition, his skills, and this is taking all the skills out of it. Well, I don't necessarily disagree with that, but you can't stop this wave of technology. It's like you just can't stop it.
I'm right there with you. I don't think that there's I don't know how there'd be a way to even go that way. But
one of his suggestions is let them practice with it, and then on tournament day you got to turn it off. You can't use it.
But the problem is, though, then you can still mark the spot.
You could. That's right.
So you got
to be able to position the boat and all that, which they're pretty darn good at.
Yeah, I mean, other than if it was like the Great Lakes or someplace, then you're going to drift off it fairly fast if it's windy, that kind of stuff. But until I kind of agree. I would like to see them go back to things being a little bit harder to do, harder to fish, because I mean I've said this on here before. It's a nightmare just watching the guy like this. I actually think these guys are going to have neck issues at some point.
Yeah.
The thing so much.
I agree. The other thing too is, and this is going to sound like an old geezer comment as well, but technology in and of itself as a tool is great, but when it becomes the main focus of the sport, the sport kind of loses something, So yeah. I'm not totally. I don't totally disagree with him. The other thing is, and this is totally an idiotic statement, but it's still one that goes through my mind. I know it goes through a lot of people's mind. You got a kid that's been on tour a year, maybe not even a year, and he's already competing at the highest level. He might even win a tournament because he's so good at electronics. But you know darn well his skill set as a fisherman is not as good as a lot of these guys that have been on the tour forever and never won. But they've got this edge because they're so good with technology, and it almost seems not fair, but it is fair. I mean, they put the work in to learn the technology, but they are an advantage. Like somebody was telling me a while back about, we were talking about kids, like, you know, a 4-year-old kid like my grandson. These kids, the day they were born, an electronic thing was put in their hand, exactly. A phone, an iPad, or whatever, and it's totally natural to them. They have never known life without it, and to them, it's just a part of life. And it's like, you should have seen my grandson trying to figure out how to work my fish finder on the screen, because it's a big iPad. To him, it looks like a big iPad. Where are the games on this thing, you know? And he's not intimidated by it at all. He's just going to dig in there and play with it. Well, that's not my generation. And the older, we're like, screw that piece of equipment, man. Let's just go fish. I don't even want to think about electronics. And it's kind of a shame. You know, I got a guy that's been on tour for 20, 30 years even. He's a heck of a fisherman, but that learning curve for electronics is just too much.
It is. And you want to, in some instances, it isn't just that it's too much, is some of these guys can't afford to buy each one of them. Like Jacob's got everything on his boat. He doesn't have an electronic sponsor. He has one of everything, and uses all of it to make that work. Some guys can't do this. Can't do this. You know, $10, $12, $15,000 for all that stuff. You know, so. And Jim disagrees. And Jim said something earlier about the top 10 guys. The last 10 guys are the guys that have won the Opens. But that isn't the case. The last 10 guys on the Leech right now is Ike Anelli, Gary Klaus, Morgan Taylor, David Fritz, Brad Watley, Jesse Tecaranti. Those guys, I mean, you could go from the top, no offense, top 76 where Rick Clunn's there, down to 94 and bring in 25, 26 new guys that are going to push the limits.
Yeah, I kind of disagree with Jim here. I get what he's saying, but I can tell you quite frankly, there are a few of these young guys that have won forward-facing sonar tournaments that I really believe if they didn't have the sonar, they wouldn't be winning tournaments. They would not be winning it. And I'm not saying they're bad anglers.
No.
I'm just saying that I think a lot of those guys do not have the skill set that a lot of the Jacob Wheelers of the world do. And when you take that electronic piece out, a lot of those guys are not going to perform nearly as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's a handful of the young guys that I'm not saying anything about they can fish anywhere, but
yeah,
having
right.
having that extra advantage and knowing how to do it. Like, I'm just going to use this. I don't mean zero disrespect because I love this dude. I don't know his first name. Milliken Fishing. What is his first name?
Yeah, I don't know his first name, but I know him. Obviously, big YouTuber.
Dude, that guy flat out knows how to Ben. Thank you. That guy flat out knows how to use his electronics like something else. He looks like a damn pro with some of the fish this guy catches.
Yeah.
I am so impressed by the studs that dude catches. I think he has a fantastic channel, but I'm not joking. I have never. He has become one of my favorite people to watch, and I mean, there's very few. No offense to everybody, but there's very few people. I watch you. There's a few I hang on to. I watch his stuff because I want to see the giant fish that he's going to catch.
Yeah, he catches some giant
bait, glide bait I've ever seen in my life. I'm so jealous he knows how to use it.
Yeah, it's true.
You know, he uses his electronics as good as a pro. I really do think that guy could be a pro. So
yeah, I think he could too.
And I think someone said it about I think forward facing sonar. If you're a guide, I think you should have it on your boat for sure. because then you're definitely going to catch fish. And since your job is to guide people out, because there's been many times I've went fishing with a guide and then got skunked. And then I'm like, I really just spent $300 and now you want a tip and I didn't even catch a fish.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
So I think in that case, I think those forward-facing sonar is great for those guys, in my opinion.
Yeah, it is. But the bottom line, it doesn't matter whether you like it or you hate it or somewhere in between. If you're going to fish at the highest level, it's a reality, and you've got to accept it. You just got, that's the way it is.
I think,
and you can't. It's fine for me to whine about it. I'm not in it. I'm just a spectator.
Exactly.
But if you're in it, get out if you don't like it. Because that's the way it is.
And if you're complaining about it, there's probably a good chance that you're not doing it well enough.
That's for sure.
Because the guys who do it well do it really well.
Yeah, they do.
Really, some of these guys, like, it's ridiculous. It's really ridiculous. But to each his own. And when you put that money, when you're putting money on the line to fish, and that's your career, you need to take advantage. And this is going to segue into the next topic. You need to take advantage of everything that you can that is in the rules. Unlike Jeff Sprague and his texts about where fish were or whatever it was.
So yeah. What do you think about that deal? Because they disqualified him, but they didn't make much of a hullabaloo about it. In fact, I saw in the forums guys saying, it's just speculation, guys saying that MLF really didn't want this out and they wouldn't have done anything to him if it hadn't gone public.
I somewhat agree.
We ought to say what happened though, because some guys probably don't even know. You want to tell?
Go ahead, because I'm going to drink something.
I don't. It sounds like you know more about it than I do.
Well, you want to know? I didn't know. This is the weird thing about it. I didn't really know about it at all. And then I was at ICAST, and another podcaster stopped me and wanted my opinion on it. And I was like, okay, I'll text you who it was later. And then a couple anglers have called me. So you're not allowed to.
There's basically a rule that says there's a time frame, and once this time period starts, you're no longer allowed to get information from anybody about the fishery, what the fish are doing. You can't get any secrets. You can't get any intel. You can talk to other competitors in the tournament you're fishing against, but that's pretty much it, right?
Yes, there's a time limit, and getting local guide information or a tackle shop, and honestly, a lot of the guys will tell you, hey, don't do this. Don't talk to me. Like, I was on the boat with Kevin Van Dam on a practice day, and we were on a flat, and I said, look at the size of that bass on the bed right there. And he stopped, turned around, and said, Steve, I can't mark that fish now. If you see a fish, you cannot tell me. I need to mark them myself.
Yeah, I had a similar thing when I was a marshal for Polinick. And I just casually mentioned something about, hey, there's cedar trees over there that usually hold fish. Have you tried that? And he's like, do not tell. You cannot give me any information that is against the rules. No. And that is in the rule book, that if someone accidentally gives you information, or you're not asking for it, as long as they say no, it's cool. No problem there.
Go ahead.
Say again.
I have a story.
What I was going to say is, in Jeff Sprague's
Yeah.
There's no accidental going on here, right? I mean, he was actively trying, and he came in 5th place, by the way, in that tournament. But he was actively searching for info and getting info from locals.
Yes. And so I was on the boat with Christy on day one of one of the classics. I was a media person, I was a media marshal, and in the middle of the day, we were just talking about, at this point, everything. I guess that's the best way to put it. He and I were talking about basketball. We were doing all this. Well, um, he ended up making a cast in front of 2 other people, right in the middle of these 2 guys that were bank fishing. He cast right in the middle of them and caught a 7-pounder. And he put it in the live well and made another cast and caught a 6-pounder on the next cast.
Holy crap.
And then unhooked that. Now, these 2 guys, one's throwing an A-rig over on the left. This guy over here is throwing somewhat the same thing that he is. He makes another cast and catches a 4-pound fish.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I said to him at that time, you've caught every fish today 3 foot off the shoreline. And he turned around and he said, I didn't hear that. Please don't say anything else like that.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, oh. And I was just making an observation for him.
Yeah.
But
an observation that is telling him about a pattern
yes.
that he could then duplicate.
and of all things, at that point in time, he turned around and went out of that place we were fishing and then started fishing a grass flat in the middle of this big area. He's like, I'm going to fish this now because there's grass here. Nobody knows that there's grass here and blah, blah, blah. And it was just unbelievable. The thing about Sprague is, as Booster said, they took away his 5th place money. But Sprague, and from what I've heard from, this is just rumors. I'm not saying anything else. Hold on. I got to turn an alarm off. Hold on.
Okay. While he's doing that, Sprague was caught cheating. I mean, that's the only way you can put it, because he says something in his statement like, I apologize. I made a mistake. My bad. I shouldn't, he kind of really downplayed it, but come on. The dude's been in professional fishing for years. He knows the rules. He knows that. You cannot convince me that he does not know that that's. He knows that. He knows exactly what he's doing there.
Someone said to me that the same person I'm talking about said the reason why they're not doing anything about Sprague is Sprague's main sponsor, some lawn thing, is one of Major League Fishing's main sponsors. Now, Sprague supposedly they were not letting him fish any more tournaments the rest of the year. However, he just fished one 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Also, he was supposed to give all of his tournament money back, and I was told by a very close friend that he has not given any of it back, and they're not making him give it back. And then to make matters even worse, they had a conference call with everybody, and everyone thought that Jeff was going to get on there and apologize for what had happened. And he got on there and just pretty much just told everybody, gave him the middle finger. And just was like, I don't like any of you guys, blah, 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 and went off.
Really?
And
holy crap.
And it's like, where it,
he's kind of got a reputation as a cheater too. I mean, the next most recent incident, I believe, had happened out at Lake Fork, where he's bed fishing, and he caught a fish with the hook outside the mouth and hides it when he pulls it up, and they let him have that. I mean, everybody that saw it thought that's not a legal catch. It's not a legal catch. If you don't know, when you're bed fishing, you have to catch the fish in the mouth. The hook has to be in the mouth. And if you catch him on the outside of the body, you can't keep him.
The NPFL guy, SoCup, did the same thing.
Did
he? And they put a video. SoCup's video guy put a video up, and then he said, "Well, I never put that fish in the live well, but you never really know, what it is."
Well, this fish was 6.5 pounds for Sprague, and they counted it. And then they went back and watched it in slow-mo and everything, and they gave him the fish. They let him have it. They said it was in the mouth and he didn't notice, or no, what they said was he wasn't really bed fishing. He had just been bed fishing, and then when he pulled the bait out, he just blind casted, and so it wasn't bed fishing, and so that counts.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow.
I think if you're going to enforce the rule and make a point of this. This is something that's been going on for years in fishing. They're you know what? They're allowed to talk to each other about fishing, but there's hidden things. There was years and years ago, people were saying that Jacob Wheeler used to cheat.
Hey, I'll tell you what I've heard from multiple guys, and this is not to disparage Jacob Wheeler, and I think he's great. I've never seen him cheat ever, but I've heard multiple guys say, cheater, Jacob Wheeler.
Yes.
Cheater, Jacob Wheeler.
Nobody can prove that.
Nobody can prove it. I've always kind of said, well, it's probably jealousy. The dude's always kicking your butt. He's always kicking your butt. And so you just want to say he's a cheater. Now, I don't know. I've got no way to prove that.
Exactly.
Either way.
Just because the guy's done amazing and is winning, you're trying to disparage him and his reputation. Jim, just so you know, nobody's 100%. We've never really seen the whole thing. If he put the fish back, they've never shown the whole video. That's the whole thing. And NPFL did nothing about it. They blew that under the thing. And really, if we can go into NPFL for a second, I mean, NPFL, what the hell is going on, guys?
Hey, go look at their website. It's never better. It has never been better. The future is as bright as it can ever be. Go look at what's his name? What's the podcaster that's just
Duncan.
Yeah, Duncan's got this incredible video about how awesome it is, and it's the best thing since sliced bread, and it's amazing. It's an amazing tour, and 2023 is going to be freaking off the charts. They've already got the season out for 2023, except the last event. Mm-hmm. Last event is at the TBD Lake.
Yeah. What NPFL has done before this season has ended is the first time that I've seen any reckless abandonment and just amount of crap you can possibly do. I don't know how they're going to succeed. I don't. They it's been just a couple weeks. I probably could get the thing over on my other monitor. They sent out, first off, nobody's watching this. Nobody's watching it. I don't know.
Yeah, we ought to get a little poll here on the comments. How many of you have watched NPFL tournament this year?
Watched it from start to end. Maybe watched 2 seconds of it.
Yeah. How many of you have actually watched and follow NPFL, watched any of their tournaments? I got to admit, I have not watched one of their tournaments, and I watch fishing all the time.
I do too. I don't even know when the tournaments are on.
I don't even think about them, man. I do. It never comes into my mind. Hey, I wonder if an NPFL tournament's on.
So I'm just gonna give you just a little bit of stats because I'm a stat person.
Yeah, let's hear the stats.
So in the last, and I'm not just looking at YouTube, and there could be other ways, on their YouTube channel in the last 30 days, they've had 1,270 views.
Holy crap. You're not talking subscribers, you're talking views. Just actually watching something on their channel.
They've had a whopping 7 subscribers in the same amount of time.
7 subscribers? Oh my God. How are they getting anybody to sponsor them? Who would pay a sponsor dollar to the NPFL? I mean,
whoever is crazy. You're just throwing money out the window. That's what you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's mind-blowing.
Here's the crazier thing. They just put out a thing, and they asked for anglers. Anglers signed a 3-year contract, and then after 2 years, they changed the contract, and now are asking these anglers to pay $6,000 a tournament.
Now, what were they paying before?
5,000.
Okay, so they had a 3-year deal at 5,000 a tournament, and after 2 years, they've changed it to 6.
Yes,
That's a pricey tournament.
the most out of all of them, with the least amount of payouts. You pay 6,000 to win 50,000. On the elites, you pay 37.50 to win 100 grand.
Yeah,
Um,
and that's
what,
all about sponsor money. I'm sure they just don't have the sponsor money that they need to pay out better. Now,
they,
I've heard that the guys that run NPFL are really good guys. Is that true? I don't know them.
Brad and Al are some of the nicest guys in the whole world, but their business plan for this league has made it. At first, it was anglers who couldn't get to that next level. So, I mean, if you look at all of them, you look at the elites and NPFL up here, and then you have the pro circuit. Then you have whatever it is, the opens. I would actually put the opens and the pro circuit probably. I think the opens are the hardest tournaments of all of them, but likewise. So that's like the AAA. And then you have all these other tournaments that MLF owns. And then you have I actually think the MPFL, and I mean no disrespect to any of their anglers, any of them, but I think it's a Wednesday night crew that just seems to be on Friday, Saturday, and Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
Yeah. Well, I thought the way they were selling this thing when it first came out was there are a lot of pro level anglers that have the skill set. They're just as good as the pros out there. But the problem is they can't afford to fish on the circuit. They've got to work real jobs. So we're going to be the first elite level circuit that gives people who can't afford to fish full time. We're going to give them this opportunity. They'll still be able to keep their full-time jobs. We're going to arrange the circuit in a way that gives them the most home time and gives these guys an opportunity to fish at the highest level, because we know they have a talent level as good. They could fish the elites if they could afford it, but they can't. So this is the new, and that to me sounded like, well, that's a pretty nice concept. I like the concept. And then they came out, and then that was when I first heard about it. And then when it finally came out, I'm like, wait a second, they're making these guys pay $5,000 a tournament, and the most you can win is $50,000. Well, these are working guys that can't afford to fish the elites, or at least that. Now, maybe maybe that was my bad. Maybe I misunderstood them, but I thought that was the whole appeal. If you're a working man that can't afford to quit his job, we now have a way for you to fish at the highest level.
I think last year, I could very well be wrong. I think only 28 of them actually made enough to cover 28 or more. 28, let's just say 28 made enough winnings to cover winnings and then make money. So the other 100 lost money, or however many. This year, I'm looking at it right now. There's 117 in there right now, and there's probably only, I want to say, there's less than 20 who have made money at $5,000 a tournament.
I think if you go at the AOI,
I'm there.
Yeah. If you go at the AOI standings, it tells how much they've made for the year.
Yeah. There's a bunch of them who are now you have to make over $25,000 to be. You have to make over $30,000 to break, just to cover your costs on tournament fees. If you look at it right now, there's way too many that are not making that 30 grand back. And that doesn't, if you have $6,000 for a tournament fee, let me just say this before I get into it. They raised the price, but then what they did is they told them they had 14 days to send in a check for $12,000.
Yeah, how the heck are they going to do that?
Over. So there's something wrong with that. And it makes me want to think, like last year, that last tournament, the guys who made a check actually got paid much later than when they were supposed to because they didn't have the money in the bank to pay those guys.
Yeah, yeah,
And when you remember last year, and then you start thinking of, they're changing the contract. You're not allowed to talk about disparaging stuff about NPFL, which is even more baloney. But some of these guys, I don't talk to a lot of those guys because no offense, I really don't know them.
yeah, yeah.
I had 12 anglers call me complaining about the new rules and the more money and everything about it. And I know of 7. Now, last year, 7 or 8 told me they weren't going to fish, and they ended up going back because they couldn't go to Major League Fishing Pro Circuit or do it. I know these other guys are saying now, I'd rather spend my money and fish the opens, all 9 opens,
Yeah,
possibly make it to the elites or get to go to the classic if I get really lucky, than to spend my money on this, where we're not sure, we're not having a championship this year. We say we're going to have a championship next year, but really, are we going to? And really, when it comes down to it, are you a real tournament schedule if you don't ever have a championship? That's
right.
my
That's right. I mean, and they sold it. You're going to have a championship,
Yeah.
and then they pulled the championship.
And they didn't do it last year. They're not doing it this year, and they say they're going to do it next year. But I mean, actions speak louder than words. And when I look at all these guys, and you look at they have to make 30,000. I'm just going to go. I'm on NPFL under AOI.
Yeah.
In the first, let's just say 20, I see 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 out of the top 20 have not made their $30,000 back.
Yeah, 9 out of the top 20.
Top 20.
Yeah, that's tough, man. That's painful. That is painful.
And you start thinking of, okay, so let's go into it. $6,000 for a tournament fee. They're going everywhere that's different next year, and I appreciate they're going places that we have never been, and that tournament places I've never been. But quite honestly, what is it? That guy John is really crushing it. Oh, yeah. You're having to drive all over the country next year, all over the country. So let's just add, especially with gas prices right now, let's add $500 for gas. Is that legitimate? I mean, that's gas in the boat and gas in the car.
Yeah.
I
think it would. You're talking per tournament, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. 500 probably don't even cut it, man.
Okay.
You're gonna have 3 days of practice. I mean, I guess it depends on how big a body of water it is. Booster's probably closer to accurate. You're probably going to spend $3,000 on fuel.
Yeah. So let's just say $1,000. Then you have a week of hotels and a week of food. Thanks, Gramps. Gramps has been killing it, by the way.
No doubt.
And you have a week of hotels and a week off of work, or let's just say 10 days. So now you add another, let's just say $1,500. Let's say you eat at McDonald's every day. Good for you. And you're eating cheap or you're staying someplace cheap.
Yeah.
You're looking at $8,500 to $9,500 for each tournament.
No doubt. No
doubt. 6 tournaments. So now you're at $50,000. And you have, so that means they're having 6 tournaments. You need to win one of those tournaments.
Yeah.
Every year.
Just to break even.
Break even.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not a financially, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, year 3, they're finishing up year 3 now, right?
I think this is year 2. Yeah.
Year 2.
I appreciate what they're into this and all that, but there's something a little. I don't agree with asking for the anglers to give them $12,000 before the season ends for next year. It almost makes me feel like maybe they don't have enough money and they need that little cash boost to help finish this year out. I'm not saying that's what nobody said that to me. I've never heard that, but that's just my gut reaction to it. Um, and Jim said it. To some, the money loss is worth it. They want to fish as a pro. Being a pro can't be that. If you're so egotistical and need that pro word, then
Yeah,
there's something wrong with you. When you need to look at things as a business sense.
I know. It's
You
true.
have to take pride out of it and knock off the narcissism and just deal with what it is. You have to. Some guys are not meant to be pro anglers.
Yeah, it's true. They just aren't. Some, as much as you'd love it, it's just not going to work for you, you know?
Sometimes you have the dream isn't a good dream. In fact, these dreams that these guys are having are wet dreams. They're not even bad dreams.
I know it. I know it. There, you know, and my statement at the beginning about how it was supposed to be for guys who have pro level skills. Well, I do know one guy on here, and I'm not going to mention his name, but I was co-angler with him fishing the opens one year. It was, I think, the year right before the NPFL came out, 1 or 2 years before that. And this guy, uh, no offense to him, but he was about 23 years old at the time. He was a young kid, but he had a brand new boat. I mean, he had $100,000 in boat and electronics and everything. And I asked him, you know, what do you do? You know, how are you supporting yourself? And he said, I'm working in a factory. You know, I work at a factory and I'm trying to go pro. And somehow he got into the NPFL. I guarantee you he did not get into the NPFL based on his fishing skills. Because he never won anything in the opens. He never even competed in the opens, quite frankly. I mean, and he's not competing in the NPFL. I've watched him closely the last couple of years since they've been around, and the kid just can't do it. He can't even compete in the NPFL. And I really feel sorry for him because here's what's happening there. I can just about guarantee you. Either his parents are paying all this money or he's going into debt big time because he's not a kid with a bunch of natural wealth. You know, like I said, he was working in a factory, trying to make ends meet, trying to win his dream. And I don't disparage anybody for chasing their dream if that's what you want. But it's kind of disingenuous for these people to suck a guy like that into a tournament circuit and he goes and pisses away, no telling how much money, how much debt, and he could prove me wrong, but I just about am certain that 5 years from now, he's probably not going to be any further along than he is now. And he's just going to be that much further in debt. And it's just such a painful, crushing. One thing that South Jersey Fisherman asked, you know, which it's kind of a good question. Is tournament fishing gambling? I've heard other people ask the same question. It kind of is, unless you're a Jacob Wheeler. Unless you're a Jacob Wheeler, it is not a money-making deal for a lot of these guys.
No.
And without sponsors, even the best guys couldn't do it. You know, I mean, the sponsor money is critical.
Yeah, if you don't, and that's the thing that's killing the NPFL. Some of these guys, a majority of them, don't have major sponsors unless you've won on there or done something else. That's the only way that you can do it. Pyramid scheme. I love that.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny, but he's right. There's only the guys at the very top of the pyramid win.
A majority of the guys that are on that on NPFL have day jobs and other stuff, and a lot of them,
Yeah.
you know, it's like this is the I only went to, you know this. I only went to ICAST for one day. It was 3 days here. Did not work out. There was work that had to get done, and it stunk that I only got to go for one day. And I went for one morning, and quite honestly, I realized I know everyone looks at ICAST as this great thing, and you want to do this, and it's so great to see all the new products. I think after a few years, you go, ICAST really sucks. It's not that much fun. It's fun to see all the friends and all that stuff, and that's really the best thing about it. But on the last day, all the pro anglers leave. They show up for 2 days.
Yeah.
And on the last day, they let every Tom, Dick, and Harry who has a jersey that says their last name on, and all.
Hey, I've got one of those for my bass club. I'm going to go do it on the last day.
They let all these guys in, and all these guys are just looking for free stuff. And it's mind-boggling. Like, I'm not joking. I'm not going to say the guy's name. I really want to call him out, though. I really want to call him out. Piss me off. So I was sitting there talking to, uh, I was talking to Shaw. It isn't Shaw I'm talking about. And this other pro came next to me and was like, "Hey, Steve, how you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, hey, how's it going?" And I looked at his jersey and I'm like, "Damn, dude, you're killing the sponsors." And only this one pays me. I'm like, then why the hell do you have all 75 on there as is? And then he was talking to.
You can put a logo. You can put anybody's logo on your jersey you want, can't you?
He was talking to a sponsor of mine, and all he did was just like talk about how he's doing this and he's got this and he's doing that, and he walked away, and my sponsor was like, "Do you have your phone on you?" I'm like, "Yeah, of course, of course." So then we looked up everything this guy said. He didn't tell one thing that was true, and it was like,
Crazy.
I want 10 fishing rods and 14 reels, and I want $10,000 in gambler lures and this. That. I mean, it was ridiculous, but it was.
Gramps is right there too. Some of these guys think that all they got to do is put a jersey on and they can start getting free stuff, free fishing rods, free reels, free tackle, and it's absurd.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. Of all things, I did a video that I have not posted. I haven't put it out for members. I haven't done anything. It's there, and the name of it is "Should I Become a Pro Angler?"
Meaning, should you become a pro angler?
Yeah. Well,
I want to see that video. I want to see that video.
You have my Dropbox account. I'll put it in Dropbox. You can watch it, but it's should you be a professional angler? And I talk about over the 15 years. If you want to make that jump to professional angler, you need to do so many things right.
Yeah.
Before you even remotely open your mouth and start talking about sponsorships.
For sure.
There's too many guys that go out there and think the way to become a pro is to get all these sponsors. And then when you don't live up to the expectations that you've done or even said or talked about yourself, or can't show that people are watching you or you're doing social media, it isn't just one sponsor that drops you. It's the whole community.
Yeah, I believe it.
So I went into this whole thing about, do this and do this and do that. But after I watched it, yeah, Steve. After I watched it, I felt like I was a little bit too harsh on some things, but and I've kind of just put it in the back, and I'm not really sure I'll ever post it. I'll let you see it, but I don't care about that.
My buddy here, Mark, this guy, he and I fish together. We fish opens together. We fished lots of tournaments, and we fished around lots of really, really good pro level guys. And until you actually fish around those guys and experience what they go through, their skill level is off the charts, for one, but their commitment and their focus and their energy and their drive is off the charts as well. And, I have too many distractions in my life to ever fool myself into thinking I could really do that. And
fooling yourself on doing it. What makes those guys so good is how they're able to adjust to what's going on at that exact moment. Like I watched somebody's video the other day, and they were talking about how it might have been today that the most common mistakes regular Joes make is that they continuously use the same baits time after time. They're confident with it. They target it. They do the same thing. But when those fish start to move in different places, is when that fishing gets really tough for you.
Yes.
So the average angler, and I consider myself an average angler, doesn't make those mental things, and I don't focus on those well enough.
Not only that, but I am blown away with how fast they move. They move. That and I always find myself staying on the spot too long. I'll
Exactly.
start fishing, and the pro's already gone, and it's just there's so much of that it's more than just being good at catching a fish. There's way more to it than that.
And we take it for granted because we go to our favorite place and catch a few fish and do well and have fun.
Yeah.
But when money comes into play and you're paying to play for that thing, and by that I mean you're shelling out a lot of money to get into this tournament. And that money is on the line, and you have to make that cash to go to the next tournament. Feel completely different.
Yes, completely different. And when we had Wheeler on the show, he told us the key to being successful in tournament fishing is versatility, not being a specialist, but being versatile, being able to fish every technique. Well, the one thing he did not say that I really believe about that is to really fish at Wheeler's level, you have to be a specialist on every technique out there.
Yes.
He didn't say that. What he said is you just got to be good at a variety of things. If you're just a specialist like Denny Brower and you're great at flipping and pitching, you're going to do well in the flipping and pitching tournaments, but you don't have a chance in the rest of the tournaments. He is a freaking expert on every technique out there.
Yes.
He's incredible.
I say it in the video. If all the tournaments are down in Florida, there's a pretty good chance I'm going to do well in at least one. But I'm going to do well in Michigan too. But put me in the middle of the country, or you want to know what? Put me in Texas. I am shit out of luck.
Yeah.
I might catch a fish.
Yeah.
There's different ways of fishing. If I've got to go drop shot, I'm really in trouble. I mean, I skip that tournament. But you got to be able to do everything well, because consistency is how the pros stay pros. Because
that's right.
If they get someplace, because a lot of guys don't like Florida because it's a bathtub down here.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them write off that one tournament in Florida. But there's other guys who say, like Palaniuk and the Shryock boys and these guys, Card and these guys, they come down here and they practice on what it takes to fish well in Florida. And that adds to how much money you're spending. I mean, if you somehow win a bid to the Classic because you win one of the Opens, do you honestly think that you're not going to go every waking time that you can go to that place and pre-fish, that you're not going to go there? So a lot of these guys travel around the country and have to pre-fish too, and they go in the middle of the thing. Jim wants to take me on a Michigan. Jim, I'll come up. Let's be honest, Jim's gonna whoop my ass. So, but when you put that element of having to qualify and that's what I think the problem. That's another thing with NPFL. These guys are out next year. They're out $36,000, and to have that come back, and when you spend $36,000 in tournament fees, and let's just say you only win $10,000 or $12,000, you're not benefiting any sponsor by that.
No.
That's the truth.
No,
and there's something that Randy said about how that just still it burns me. I've watched 5 episodes of his thing, and 2 of them I've completely disagreed in every word that came out of the dude's mouth. I also hate that. How does this guy have all these views and he can't buy a decent camera? Dude, up the camera.
Yeah, he's not into production value at all, man.
No, and that's I could go in that, but he had a thing about how the best thing that could happen, best thing you could do is have a wrapped car.
Boat, yeah.
Yeah,
Wrap,
wrapped boat.
yeah, wrap boat and truck. Wrap boat and truck. There's nothing more valuable.
In all honesty, I want everyone to comment on this. Have you ever saw a wrap boat and said to yourself, I want to know, I want to buy that bait. I want to buy that whatever it is. Or
Well,
did you look at it and go, oh, that's this guy's name on the side of his car?
I think I'd mentioned before. I've seen a couple of guys, not several, but a couple of guys who have tomatoes on their boat, and I've always wanted to try those tomatoes.
I
Rolled gold tomatoes. I think it's rolled gold tomatoes. I'm like, what? He's got tomatoes on his boat.
The truth of the matter is, if you're an angler and you're a pro angler and you do not win a tournament or on the final day or whatever it is, and you're not promoting one product, the chances are that that company that has given you X amount of money, you have not sold one product for them.
Yeah.
Unless you are winning or doing that. That's the God's honest truth, unless you're Guggen. I'm not saying anything about Guggen. But the average guy that's on here, NPFL, who has a sponsorship from whatever, probably has never sold one lure for that company.
Yeah.
And when it comes down to it, when all those guys on NPFL and all these things are asking for, $500 a month or whatever it is, they need to sell the product for them to stay with you. And it doesn't happen anymore. Rolled gold.
Red gold. That's what it is. I bet those tomatoes are good, man. I will though, kind of seriously. If I know that a company is sponsoring fishing, I will try to buy their product. Like for example, the Bridgeford guys. There's a bunch of guys that are sponsored by Bridgeford, so I started buying their jerky, and it's not bad. It's not bad stuff.
Yeah, it helps to do that. But what I was saying is, have you seen a place, a car, and then a truck?
No.
And then seen a lure company on there and went, now you might look them up.
Yeah, you might.
But are you buying the product? I've never bought one product off one car I've ever seen. Now, I bought a ton of products that if the angler wins, then I go, well, maybe I can.
Yeah. I have too. I've got to go try those new freaking. I've got to go try that brand new Fraybill net with a scale built in. I got to have that sucker. If KVD won a tournament with that net, I got to have it. They were talking about. I was listening to them at ICAST talk about this net has a built-in scale now, and it'll weigh up to 30 pounds. You can catch a 30-pound fish, put it in your net, and it already weighs it for you. All you got to do is look on the screen. And this is the line that they use. This is how freaking stupid. I mean, I don't want to say stupid. This is how ridiculous. We care about fish conservation. And this way, they never have to pick the fish up or handle the fish. They automatically know what the fish weighs. All right, now follow that logic. Let's say you catch a 10-pound bass and you got it up in the net and you say, I'm not going to take it out because I care about fish conservation and I got a scale that'll tell me he's 8 or 10 pounds anyway. You're going to immediately pull it out and say, I got a freaking 10-pounder. Look at this thing. And then you're going to take pictures. You're going to take pictures of it. That scale on your net is not going to, what it might do, I guess, is if you got a 2-pound fish and you want to know it's a 2-pounder, maybe you'll throw that back without touching it.
Yeah.
Fish in the southeast, the net automatically takes the hook out too. I was just like, holy crap, man. We've gone too far. Technology has gone too far. I cannot have a net. I cannot have a net unless it's got a built-in scale on it.
I want that band and forward-facing sonar.
Holy crap. Dude. Well, it's been fun, man. This is a fun night.
Yeah. This again in 2 weeks.
Yeah, we ought to do it again in 2 weeks. That's a good idea.
I think the last bass tournament, what is that, this weekend? For the year?
Yeah, it's like right at the end here. The whole season's about over.
Schmitty's on the leaderboard, first place. How good is that guy?
He's pretty awesome for sure.
There's a lot of man. There's a lot of good guys. My boy last weekend, Brandon Card was in first place after the first day. I was so happy.
Me
And
too. I was like, oh, I hope he can make it last more than one day.
I didn't.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, do I? Here's a question for you. When you have like your friends on here, at what point do you text them to say, "Hey, great job, good luck tomorrow," or do you just go, "Okay, I'm like a no hitter rule. I don't want to jinx them by
Yeah.
reminding
I,
them, don't throw it
yeah.
in the field."
I usually don't bug the few that I do have a relationship with. I usually don't bug them during the tournament week. And once the tournament starts, I'm crickets. They're not gonna hear from me.
I used to talk like with some of them. I would be like, "Dude, great first day." If like Bobby Lane does well or Shaw or somebody, I'm texting them as soon as I see it.
Yeah.
And then when they don't do well the second day, then I'm like, "Oh, I jinxed them, and this is my fault." And I feel,
Yeah.
but so now, like last week, I was really happy for Brandon, but then I was like, I'm not texting him. Let's see what happens on day two, and then go from there. And then when he didn't do well he did well on day two, but he wasn't leading, and then he dropped off. His fish just disappeared on him. So yeah, it was disappointing, but it's fishing, man.
It is. It's fishing. That's just the way it goes. I mean, better to have loved and lost than never loved at all. Isn't that what they say? Better to have fished and lost than never fished at all. He at least was first place on the first day.
And
So
that, his
that's hard to do. That's hard to do.
yeah,
It is very hard to do.
win a tournament, and I can't wait for that to happen for him.
Me too, man. There's so many good guys that you're just like, dude, when are you gonna win? I want you to win. I want you to win. You know,
It's harder to win than we could.
it is hard. It is hard. Dollar Bill. I mean, I was so happy for him last year. It was last year when he won, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Won at Pickwick. It was Pickwick. I think he won.
I mean, Bill's one of the best guys in the whole world.
I know it. I know it. It was just great. It was fantastic.
Right now I'm looking at the thing. Matt Herron's in second place.
Gee, that's another dude I'd love to see win. And that would be awesome.
I call him Matt the Truth Herron now. When I see
Yeah,
he
that
won't-
was one of the funnest shows we had with him.
oh, I
I
know.
mean, yeah, it was a good show.
He texted me. He said, "When am I doing it again?" I'm like, "Oh, well, when we get going again, blah blah blah, we'll get it going." He's just one of those guys that he's just really a good. There's an old school group of guys that are just really really good. It was the one thing that I was disappointed in at ICAST is I didn't, like I said, I only went the last day, and so there was only a few guys that I saw, and really the person that I missed the most at ICAST was I didn't see Daddy. I didn't see Bill at all. Bill Dance at all. He
Uh-huh.
left early or something. But then I saw Shaw, and I think I spent like 2 hours with Shaw. I mean, it was Matt got fined. What did he do, Jim?
I didn't hear that.
Yeah, I didn't. Usually I get an email from Bassmasters on after the day one. This one I didn't get it.
Taking off his pants. It wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, they couldn't get him for something like that because there's lots of guys who fished in his underwear. Well, maybe they could get you for fishing in your underwear. But there's been several guys who have stripped down to get in the water to get a fish out of the water, He wouldn't be the first to do that.
He fished in his underwear on live.
Yeah, that could do it for you. That could do. When you say got fined, like
did they?
I've never heard of a real fine. I've heard of disqualifications and stuff like that, but what kind of fine? Tidy whities. Yeah. Well, at least we know now. We know what his choice is.
I've had,
I think, now that I think about it, I think tidy whities go well with ugly sticks.
I'm just scared of hooks. I want
Hey,
that for batting.
ugly sticks are starting to really up their game, aren't they? They're like getting to some carbon and some components, and I'm. Hey, speaking of this, you're not gonna. I mean, this you'll believe this because it happens all the time. My most expensive rod. It is a St. Croix Legend Extreme.
Mhm.
For you trivia boys out there, how much does the St. Croix Legend Extreme rod cost? That sucker broke on me this weekend fishing, or this week fishing. The tip just broke, and about 2 feet down, it just broke. And while I was back, I go back to cast. And I mean, I'm not even putting any force, and it just broke. Booster, double that, and you're pretty close.
The rod costs $700.
$650. $650. And that sucker, bro. I mean, I didn't even hit it. I didn't even put any force on it.
I had a really expensive fly rod one time. I mean, really expensive fly rod. And I was practicing roll casting. And I made a roll, and the fly hit the tip of the rod, and it shattered. And I was like, are you joking me? All I was doing was doing this, and it broke.
Really?
Okay, yeah. Last time I get this kind of rod. But
wow. I mean, one thing I can say about St. Croix, their warranty is awesome. It's very, very, it's a great warranty. So I'm going to get another rod. They'll replace it. But when you pay that kind of money for a rod, it's like, come on, man. You
I get them for $300.
But every once in a while, I guess you can get a bad apple. But here it is, if you want to see it.
Yeah, I mean, there are times that you like, even with lures. I've gotten lures out of a package, and I complained about it to the company. I said, look, the first one I got was, as soon as it hit the water, I caught a fish, and I caught fish after fish after fish, and I gave that exact lure away to a friend. I was like, dude, I am absolutely smoking fish with this lure. You need to use it. And then I mean, literally right out of the bat, same thing. Put it on, and it like, you'd cast it, and then it would go to the left on me. And then it was
Really?
like, I'm not casting that way. It like swam always to the left. And I called him and I said, look, the first bait swam like 2 inches under the water. This one out of nowhere is swimming 12 inches of 2 feet. I said, I don't have a clue. Peep shows are not. I don't have a clue why this is doing this. And it was a crank. It was a shallow water crankbait. And then I was just like, I can't. I told him, I know I needed to tune it, but I don't feel like at the price I bought these lures at, I don't want to tune a lure. I don't buy lures so I can tune them. I buy lures so I can tie them on, cast them, and catch fish.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I have a Molix. I don't even know where it is. Hold on, let me find it.
Gramps, I agree with you. I have quite a few Loomis rods, and I like them, but these Legend Extremes I absolutely love. And part of why I love them are this handle. This handle, for me, I think I've heard guys either love this handle or hate it. I absolutely love the feel of this handle. And they say that just to make this handle, it takes them something like 2 or 3 solid days. They make this handle by hand, or they used to anyway. And then, of course, they have all the premium components and all that bull crap. But the handle's super special on this thing, and I know that seems silly, but until you try it, man, it's really something. Let me see that.
So this is Molix RT flip tail.
Yeah.
So when you throw this, it tracks always to the left. Always. And
Really?
when it gets like 6 feet of you, like if I'm casting and I'm casting right here straight, I want that bait to come straight to me. I don't want it to go 8 foot over to the left where I wasn't casting. If I wanted to cast over there, I would have casted over there.
Exactly right.
And at some point in time, not like this one's really expensive, but in this case, this is just one of those that I'm just like, I'm not talking about. This is a new one I just got, but I don't want to have to to spend the money and then do that. I mean, it kind of takes away from me
Yeah, I totally agree with you.
using the bait. And
Yeah.
that I'm doing a closer look on that one, and I've kind of just thrown it like on. I don't need to spend any more time on this at this point. So because I was going to put it up against like some of these sleeper gills and stuff,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
in the smaller ones, this is a dark sleeper or whatever. So
Yep.
I got all these ones sitting over here, and they're everywhere lately. Like they're everywhere. You can only do so much work so fast.
I know. That's true. All
Okay.
right. Well, dude.
Well, hold on, Booster. Can you put in the comments here real fast what you wanted us to say? They have a tournament coming up with JT Kenny.
Oh yeah. Okay. I saw him say something like, "Who wants to fish with JT Kenny?" I didn't know what he was talking about.
Yeah, they have a tournament down here.
I kind of do know what he's talking about because he asked us to repost that on, and I did repost it, but I've already forgotten the details about it now.
Yeah, I did. I don't have it. I never saw AC bait. There are a lot of them that don't need tuning. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm just getting a good batch.
Yeah, I agree, Gramps. I love the GLX line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're having a raffle to fish with
JT Kenny, and I think it's supporting some sort of a charity, veterans. Is it a veterans charity or something?
I had it on my phone, but now I can't. Oh,
I'm talking out of my arse. I don't really know for sure, but
my thing.
Veterans, yeah, for veterans. Well, heck, I'm a veteran. I'm for veterans. Let's help the veterans out.
Yeah.
Thanks everybody for watching. JT Kenny's got a tournament. You can fish with JT Kenny if you go check this out. Maybe in the comments, once the video comes out on YouTube, we can put a link to that Booster.
VFO Home, I think it is.
Okay.
So yeah, go out there, check it out, participate, donate, do whatever you can. Fishing with JT would be fun because he's a really nice guy.
He's a Florida fisherman.
Yeah, he's down there at Okeechobee.
Yeah.
Fishing. Do you want the turn? If you win, I bet you it takes you to either Stick Marsh or that right there, the headwaters.
Okay.
So, and the headwaters are they're going to be really good in Fellsmere. Yeah, Booster said it. The headwaters are amazing fishing.
Really?
So yeah, good thing down there. Do you have any videos coming up?
I've got about 10 that need editing. So will I edit them? Good question. Don't know about that. I've got a last tournament of the year up at Truman Lake in a couple of weeks. I'm probably going to be getting ready for that more than I am working on videos, but I need to because you're getting way ahead of me. I don't have a chance, man.
Oh, no. You do better than me, man.
All right, guys, thanks for watching the Mr. Bass channel and the Get Your Fish On channel, watching our show. We appreciate it. We're going to be back on the air 2 weeks from now. Can't guarantee it'll be this exact day, though, because of our schedules. We're just going to have to play it by ear and see.
Yeah, we're trying to make sure we pick the right day, that we don't overstep on other people's stuff.
I know. Yeah, we're trying not to step on other guys' shows. And I thought Gramps had a show today, but then I went and it looked like his show's on Sundays now. So hopefully we didn't step on him. I think fishing let's see, Matthew, I think, does a show tonight, but he goes late. He starts really late. So you might want to go watch him after us. And
Fishing the Southeast is doing a live show with his friend now, too. There's lots of them. There's so many. It's VFOhome.org.
All right, VFOhome.org. Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Hope you have a great night. And, Steve, close us out, man.
Get fishing. Get your fish on. We'll see y'all soon.